Have you ever found yourself mindlessly scrolling on your cell phone, looking at images, at videos, without knowing how to stop? What if I told you that there was a switch that you could reach that will simply turn everything off and give you a sense of control again? Will this interest you? First of all, before going into all the negative press that scrolling on your phone has been receiving over the past few years, and all this attention that this has brought onto the phenomenon, and people started talking about dopamine fast, our social media are actually killing you and are frying your brain slowly. Before going to that, I would like to simply say that yes, what we call scrolling today is nothing new. It is true that back in the days, we didn't have cell phones or tablet to actually surf the net. But we had other forms of entertainment that were equally addictive. I remember back in the days, I would be glued in front of the TV for hours watching music videos from MTV. And to the point where my father would simply come and say, "But what is happening? You are literally frying your brain. What are you watching?" That was number one. Number two, the worst thing about it is that we were watching videos, music videos, coming from different parts of the world, in different language that we did not speak, because back then I didn't speak English, but I was just mindlessly watching all these music videos. And when they will tell us to get off the couch and simply go outside, then we will simply engage in other addictive activities that will completely, how can I put it, mindless, not actually adding any type of value as far as life is concerned. We'll go gaze at cars going back and forth, passing and going back and forth, and that will basically how we will live our lives outside of school hours. Why? Because as teenagers, our brains, as they were still forming, were looking for some type of activity to latch on. We didn't have cell phone. We didn't have internet. We didn't have any of these fancy things that these young kids have today. But we still had access to other forms of technology or activities that were equally addictive and numbing as far as what we're doing at the moment is concerned. So, as far as this doom scrolling is concerned, I would like to simply say that it's nothing new. The terminology is new in terms of devices and technology being used, but in terms of activity and how it is basically numbing and simply addictive, we have done that in the past, but somehow we have survived. Of course, I know that the science beyond this phenomenon is something to be taken seriously. And I know that, yes, it all started on November 7th, 2019, when the psychiatrist doctor by the name of Karen Sifa agreed to an interview with New York Times. And the interview simply says, yes, how to feel nothing in order to feel more later. And it was talking about the dopamine and talking about how the dopamine is something that we need to be paying attention to. And from this interview, many quote-unquote pundits, experts, decided to simply extrapolate and simply say, yes, because the dopamine is something that's causing us to become addicted to certain things like cell phone or web browsing, then we need to find a way to quote-unquote start fasting from this. But of course, Many other experts have come to the scene. Professionals simply say yes, but how can you fast from something that is natural? You can fast from any response of the brain, such as fight or flight. You can fast from that. So how can you then go on to fast from something that is happening naturally in your brain? So there was a fight when it comes now to the proper terminology, when it comes to how to address this issue of dopamine production that was actually coming from watching all this video on a cell phone, watching all this video on your tablet, watching all this video on your computer without knowing when to stop. There was, of course, yes, a need to address that, because we understand that when it comes to the dopamine and what it can do to you and how addictive it can become. The numbers are there. For example, when it comes to people who love to indulge, when it comes to chocolate, we know that it increase your dopamine level by about 1.5. When it comes to sexual intimacy, it increases your dopamine by about 2%. And when it comes to things like nicotine, smoking cigarette, it increases that by about 2.5. And when it comes to amphetamines, it increases your dopamine levels by about 10%. So, the tendency to become addicted to anything that can give you any type of dopamine surge as far as your brain is concerned becomes, of course, staggering. So young kids who are barely able to understand how the brain works properly are given devices, a cell phone with access to internet. Of course, when they have nothing else to do, they'll simply say, yes, I need some dopamine boost. I need to give myself a boost of dopamine in the moment. They will go and start checking the internet, and one site leads to another, or one app leads to another, or one video leads to another, and before you know it, the child is slowly but surely becoming addicted. So I understand that yes, there is a need to address that, but the proper terminology when it comes to this whole thing must be also addressed. We cannot fast from this, but we need to find ways to actually address that phenomenon known as addiction. While I'm not going to come here and give you a scientific lecture as to what you should be doing as far as your life is concerned, I'm just going to use something called common sense in order to put on the table a suggestion for you to consider as far as the kill switch is concerned. Here it is. Number one, know what stage of your life you are in. That's very key. And number two, know what time of the day it is. What stage and what time. Stage and time. Stage and time. Let me now break it down. As I was saying a few days ago, it's important to start thinking in system, because when you think in system, you become extremely effective when it comes to time management and when it comes to living out your purpose. And I gave you the example of the Roman army. The Roman army, at any point of the day, they knew that they were basically functioning according to one of the 6 pillars of execution as far as they are concerned as a unit. They knew they were either building something, so gastroponere, so which is basically setting up. I was talking about that a few days ago. Second, the acronym is SPEARS again. S for setting up. So they know that yes, number one, I'm setting up something. Number two, gastroponere, so putting away something. I'm trying to find a way to simply educate myself, or to find a way to draw resources out of the environment and myself as far as how to survive is concerned. I'm also anticipating any type of thing that may actually come to me to disrupt the peace of whatever I'm trying to establish. R for what I'm simply trying to respond now to whatever threat is coming my way. And S for simply one key thing, I'm simply now to sustain the culture that I came to establish as far as the environment is concerned. And at any time of the day, they knew that we're either supposed to be building something, disassembling something, trying to master the environment, trying to anticipate any type of threat, trying to respond to the threat, and last but not least, trying to simply find a way to sustain or to simply further a culture as far as wherever the world is concerned. And this is really key. And we saw that precisely in 47 before Christ, when Caesar found himself facing a very interesting opponent by the name of King Pharnaces II. King Pharnaces II saw an opportunity when he saw the Roman army setting up the encampment. He said, I'm going to go and attack them and surprise them. I'm going to go attack them and surprise them. So as they're coming, Caesar simply said to himself, no, it can be a fact. They're not trying to attack us. But by the time they came, the Roman army was caught off guard. First few seconds of the fight, they were of course terrified. But they remember very quickly that yes, we have to work according to our system. It's either we are building, we are disassembling, we are educating ourselves, we are anticipating, or we are responding or sustaining. And they say right now it's about the responding to the threat. So they came together as one unit and they started responding according to what they have learned in the army. And guess what? Before you know it, they were able to simply manhandle King Pharnaces II and his army. And at the end of the fight, Caesar simply went on to say, Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, and I conquered. Why it is particularly important? Because regardless of whatever you're going through as far as the day is concerned, the key question is to ask yourself, number one, in what stage of my life? What stage of my life am I in? Am I the place where I'm trying to establish something? Am I the place where I'm trying to disassemble something, walk away from something? Am I the place where I'm trying to educate myself or find resources to draw out of myself? Am I the place where I'm trying to anticipate what's going to happen as far as the future is concerned when it comes to planning? Am I the stage where I'm supposed to be responding to something? Or am I the place where I'm supposed to be fathering or mothering something as far as my own personal culture is concerned or my own personal footprint is concerned as far as the environment is concerned? Once you know exactly what stage you're in, it's simply going to tell you now next thing. So what time of the day it is? Because when you have a sense of schedule, it will simply give you an ability now to simply say, yes, I was watching the cell phone, I was watching TV, but now it's time for me to simply pluck myself out of this couch and go and do particular exercise, because that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now based on the stage where I'm in. And number two, based on the time of the day. As simple as that. If you've been enjoying this video, please make sure to share it with as many people as possible. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that next time we put together a video, you can be amongst the first one to see it. Alright, now back to our presentation. But of course, this is something that's not just going to happen right away, because once you become addicted to certain behavior, it becomes really hard to just walk away from this. So it will take some practice, one step after the other. Just go with the very basic. Learn to simply wake up on time in the morning. And as you wake up on time in the morning, just learn how to make your bed. So these two simple exercises over 21 days will simply give you now a sense of schedule. And once you start doing that properly and effectively over 21 days, you can now start adding more things on top of that. I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock. I was able to make my bed. I did it for 21 days. How about I incorporate another routine as far as my morning is concerned? And the more you do that, the more you're going to come to a place where you're going to have a sense of schedule as far as how your day is going to go, as far as how your week is going to go, ultimately as far as how the month is going to go. I'm going to end with this one. There's a particular story in the Bible that really caught my attention. Jesus is minding his own business, and he sees a Roman officer come to him, and the Roman officer simply says, I would like for you to come to my house because something is happening and I need for you to come and work out a miracle as far as my household is concerned. But I don't want you to come to my house. I simply want you to speak a word, and I know that your word is going to carry authority and simply going to reverse whatever I'm experiencing. And then Jesus marvels and simply says, my goodness, what an effective way of thinking. This is a man who thinks in system. I see a man who thinks in system. So he stopped in his track to simply praise the gentleman because he saw a man was thinking in systems. Because once you start thinking in systems, you will always know exactly the stage of your life you're in, number one. Number two, you will also focus on time and know exactly what to do at this particular moment of the day. And once you know how to do these two things, effectively and consistently, my friend, you're simply going to come to a place where you are thinking in system, and you're going to simply become unstoppable and break away from this addiction to any device or any activity that's simply there to simply boost of dopamine, and come back to a place where you know exactly what to and how to use your time more effectively. Alright, I'm gonna stop right here. Thanks very much for watching. Looking forward to sharing more with you in the days to come. Until then, take good care, and remember, the best is yet to come. But in order for the best to be manifested, you and I have to remain intentional. Alright, take good care. I'm out.